Diddly dum. Diddly do. And let's see. Okay. We're starting off. We're gonna do the challenge rift on Diablo 3, and after that I'm gonna go into something simple to play in the background while I do my thing. So, let me get my chat pulled up here. Okay, chat is up. Okay. A little bit of heartburn going on. Ground stomp. Circer. Puny. Okay. Here we go. This should be interesting.
Glory awaits at the end.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, this is interesting. Ah, son of a... Okay, I'm not very good at this. Okay. And yeah. I screwed this one up. Yeah. And leave game. Restart it. Gotta figure this out again. Because I'm not too swift on the uptake, and I haven't been on in a bit. So, you got Furious Charge. Rush forward, knocking back and dealing 600% weapon damage to enemies along your path. Recharge time is reduced by 2 seconds for every enemy hit. So, need to hit groups with that. 800% returns 25 fury if it hits 3 or fewer. After casting Furious Charge, Ground Stomp, or Leap, take 80% reduced damage for 8 seconds. Okay, so I gotta balance between the two of those. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Maximum. That's just confusing though. How am I generating so much fury? I only have 2 skills that generate fury. Everything else costs it except for Wrath of the Berserker. Whatever. Everything is in strength. It's all maxed. That's all maxed. That's all maxed. Okay. Let's try this again.
Find harmony in your abilities. That is the key.
working a lot better for me. Okay, if I can just catch up here. Okay, that's better. Okay. Okay. Son of a biscuit. And yeah, I suck. Okay.
I like to think the world is safer now. No way.
And I gotta do it again. So, I'm gonna try this when I have more acuity with it. Just something simple to run through. And my eyes. Did I take my meds? I think I did. Hope I did. So. Here we go. If I can think straight. Hello. My name is, me. I like to smack myself in the face with a stick that's made of foam, 'cause it tickles. We want that. 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 And then okay. Neck and feet. Yeah. My mind is utter garbage at the moment. It's been a while. I have my own real life issues, but, you know, that's life. Everybody has issues. But without further ado, let me bring up a disclaimer. Here we go. All thoughts, views, and I can't read that word. Translations represented in this video or stream are from the speaker's perspective. They are not to be confused as social normalcy, nor as legitimate educational guidelines. Common sense theory, according to Gimpy. Welcome to my common sense theory. Now, let's see. We're gonna slide this over. And let's bring it down, shall we? There we go. And ta-da! So, to start off, let's see. Oh, I forgot to add something. I'm gonna do that in the editor right now. Oh, I'm already there. Hello. Yeah, I'm good at that. Da-da-da-da. Do 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 Okay. And slide that over there. Maybe bring it down a little bit. Whoa. So bring it down. Good job, me, right? Ta-da. Boom. So, I think we are about ready to begin. It is now Common Sense Theory with Gimpy. That's being me. I am the Gimpy. So, to start off with, things that are common sense in theory and practice. Since I'm already here, let's bring up the picture I just showed you. We have a fiction and fantasy collaboration image of some ladies there. Female characters. They seem to be short. They seem to be underdeveloped. They seem to be a bit different. So, what does that bring us to believe? There are some people... I should stay away from that. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. In theory, there could be people that will look at these girls
Are you strong enough to survive
and think,
the trials?
oh, those are some young maidens. And all these guys are looking at these young maidens and watching these young maidens. They must be pedophiles, perverts, naughty sickos that need to go to jail. So, in theory, with thoughts like these, they go and they chat about said feelings. And they keep bringing it up, unrelentingly. No matter what anyone says, they just keep saying, oh, you're a pedophile. Oh, you're a perverted sicko. You need to go to jail. And there's no arguing with them because they won't accept anything else. So there's nothing really that you can do. And, you know, it happens. So, in theory, common sense theory. 1. These are fictional characters. They don't really exist. And you don't have to objectify them, in theory. I know, I'm saying that word a lot. Theory. In theory. And I'm gonna put it this way. There's a story to all these girls. And said story is previously announced in either the show or game that these ladies appear in. And that is, these are kami. They're spiritual beings, thousands of years old, dating back through history, that are in the realm managing their affairs, whether it be denying on nature, messing around with mortals, because, you know, a fox spirit likes to play tricks. They're cunning creatures. They don't have to play tricks. But there are many of them that have done so. But that's another part of the story. So then again, you look at it. Okay. These aren't humans, for one. They're far older than anything you could ever imagine. And they don't exist in reality. They only exist in the story. Now, you exist in reality, in theory. And jumping to conclusions to automatically think, anyone who gets giddy, excited about the story or game that these ladies are portrayed in, viewed as a pedophile or something like that, they might not be thinking that way. They aren't necessarily objectifying them in that manner.
We have done it.
So, jumping to said conclusion, why are you objectifying them like that in theory? It's a sticky situation. I mean, you accuse somebody of something, and all it does is that it turns around and it points towards you might be the one that's actually feeling that way. You actually might be the one that's actually looking at them in that manner. And if you stop and think, so all you have to do is stop and think. Can avoid a lot of these issues. Because I know of one game in particular that's had a ongoing debate on the matter, because they have a race that you can play that aren't human, and they are the female version of another portrayed race that you can use, because the male and female versions have completely different. They have some similarities, but there's major differences. But they're both short. Yet, many people see everyone who plays as the female version of this race as a pedophile. And they harass them in-game, out-of-game, if, like, on forums. And it's all rather taxing for the people. Because if they try to defend themselves, they can't get anywhere. Because the accusers don't want to hear anything else except for what they believe in. And it's a game. You can play any character that's built into the game. And even in the lore of the game, said female race is thousands of years old. Thousands. But most people don't even read the lore behind the races, which I, for one, don't really understand, because I enjoy the lore of the games, the story of the games. For MMOs, I played a lot of single-player games, and that single-player games I played were RPGs, primarily. I did play some first-person shooters, other things, but primarily games with story behind them. And when I'm playing an RPG style game, even if it's an MMO, I like to get into the story, read it, find out the lore, and just have fun in general and enjoy it.
Make your peace quick.
Yeah, there's so many people that just jump into the game. They look at what's available. They only play the same gender as they are in real life, because if you play anything other than that, you're a sick, perverted freak. And I've had this happen to me in games before. And it just doesn't make sense to me. It's a role-playing game, fiction, meant to be fun. And it's not real, because real life is enough, you know? Why would you want to have your fantasy video games turned into reality video games.
I need to go back.
I understand that some people like that, but stop and think, because with common sense theory,
The entrance would
you
be
don't
proud.
push your own ideals on others. It's that easy. If you don't like something, it's pretty easy to say, I don't really care for that, but that's your thing. Please leave me alone. Not too hard. But that type of thinking isn't taught anymore in our schools, and there's a lot of parents who don't have time to instill wisdom because they have to work so much and are exhausted, or there's other things. Maybe they weren't taught it, and so on. Now there. Fictional characters, digital characters, pixelated characters, two-dimensional characters, like in comic books and manga. They don't really exist. There's no way to bring them into the real world. The only life they have is in the story that is told or scripted. And that's all they have. Sure, some people could fantasize about them or something, or create... You know, there's a lot of people that create their own stories. In addition to fan fiction. The keyword being fiction. When you objectify fiction and force feed it upon others, your ideals about it, that is, it is impolite, rude, and for the most part will simply cause arguments. And causing arguments is not a good thing. Some things are good to debate. But there's a difference between arguing and debate. So, that is the primary aim that I wanted to talk about with objectifying fictional entities. Because that has been one of the things that have been forefront in my mind. Especially due to increased activity on... Would you pick up the damn thing? Thank you. So, with that taken care of, we can move on to our next subjectual matter. Okay. Next subject. Okay. Color coding. Oh, another good one. So, our eyes. Trixie eyes. Like that Trixie Hobbit. Always taking an impression. You have the tan. You have the white. You got the red. And black. And then there's the blue. Each one is its own entity. Has its own unique characteristics and background. Its own culture. So, they're all unique. But let's think about a matter that many people know and understand. Now, white and black don't get along, and the white doesn't like any of the other ones much, because it's stubborn. It doesn't like change. If it's different, it just doesn't understand. It just says no.
I enjoyed that.
Can't do anything else but say no. Like, no is the only word that it understands. Why do I keep picking the wrong object? Indeed. So, there comes a time when the white's trying to figure out a place for itself, and it comes across the homeland of the red. And then, because the white doesn't understand the red, and the red is a lesser being because it lives a different way that the white considers beneath them. So, without a ability to communicate, The white narrowly kills off all of the red. Comes close. And then, finally, after the white stops to think, he realizes that that was a bad idea. And tries to understand the red. They get to know each other. And they get to be on okay terms, but because of how the white handled the red, they kind of just set it in a neutral place. And move on. Similar issues happen with the other colors. Only without, like, the close genocide. They each have their own interactions and reactions. The main point being the white basically screws over it all, including itself, quite often. And due to anger, and fear, and hatred, because they're a good combo, the other colors don't really like the white either. They tolerate it at times, but they just never grow to, like, truly like the white. More years pass, and it just remains the same. The whole tolerate, don't care, stay away from me, you know, leave me alone. More years pass, and this continues for a few hundred years. And after a while, the white's stuck in a rut. And everyone is stuck in a rut because of it. Because no one's willing to stop and perspective. Or even open up. That each has a different culture. Which is a theory. I'm gonna break that word. They never grow to appreciate each other and end up destroying the entire world, and everyone dies.
I'm returning to town.
Now,
The blood runs through.
you stop and think, oh, that could never happen, right? Actually, it could. Fear. Greed. Hatred. And lust for power. All things that could lead to that. Aye, what a shit show. Right there. Love that. It starts off. Okay. The white is everywhere. There's a lot of it. And there's different forms of it. And each different form doesn't really care for each other. Because they have issues. And they're from different areas. And their areas want to control the other areas too. They want to have domination over everybody. Now they're each like this. And, you know, similar feelings can be in some of the other colors too. Could be. Keyword being could be. Except for the blue. Because the blue are the calm, rational thinkers of the bunch. Now, they're stuck in a small little area that keeps being reduced in size over the years because they don't build an army to defend their borders well enough against any attackers, because they prefer to celebrate life. To the fullest and as much as possible, and avoid things that can cause death as much as possible. Now the blue sends representatives to all the other colors to talk about how they think things could be improved. Said representatives are generally ignored. And some of the colors kinda agree with some of the plans, but there's one thing that they just can't accept: the inclusion of the white. Because
I waited 1500 years
white
for
is
this. Should I return to
bad.
my slumber?
They've messed up everything so much that they shouldn't be included. And they should actually succeed their land to them and give reparations for what happened to their people hundreds of years ago. Now, it's nothing that they experienced in their lifetime. It's nothing that their parents experienced. Nothing that their grandparents experienced. Or even their great-grandparents. Something that happened well beyond anything they would know or have experienced. They have just been raised to believe that they are owed. Now, for things that happen in the current times and their parents' times, Blue says that is a reasonable thing to be talking about. That's something that's more feasible to be worked with. I mean, current actions can be modified. But stubbornness happens. So, we have the
Yes?
issues
Why
of
do you keep glancing over at Kodama?
Oh,
pride
just
now,
making sure she isn't up to anything suspicious.
with the vanity of thinking, each thinking that they are the best, which leads to the stubborn refusal to accept anything else except for what they were, except for the doctrine that they were instilled with throughout their years and personal experience. And sometimes not personal experience. It's variable. But it's the general idea. Okay. And that's when, you know, White creates this weapon that could, like, just completely destroy a large area. So everybody else has to have one. So they all build one. And then they have it set up that if somebody launches one, they launch theirs. So everybody starts thinking that way, and they set it up that way. And then one day, either somebody was an idiot and attacked the others, or, you know, maybe they didn't set it up right. They either misfired, or somebody accidentally set it off, but more than likely, somebody was an idiot and attacked somebody else, thus triggering everybody else's the fire. And then the whole world that those colors were living on is completely destroyed on the surface. So all surface life gone. And maybe there were some survivors who got safely below ground, but then, because of the damage to their world from these weapons, were horrible storms and earthquakes, so even their shelters failed. And everybody died. Now, one of the morals of that story that weapons of mass destruction and mutually assured destruction are horrible ideas. Seriously. Nuclear weapons are simply a means to kill ourselves. It's a bad idea. But now, moving over to the alternate timeline. Now, here's the timeline where blue convinced the other colors that it was a good idea to get together and work their issues out and start figuring out how to improve their lives together. And then, bam! We have everybody mixed up all together. So spun together, all are a part of each other. So we have one big messed up family, but you know, they're all working on their issues, living together, trying to find their happiness. And live life to the fullest. Now in this area, you know, there's so many different cultures.
Fortune favors the bold.
And when you mix those cultures together, you get this pot full of a bunch of different like foods just cooked together that end up tasting different and good at the same time. Because there's one simple truth that they had to come to understand. All these colors, they came from the same place.
Maybe you can find a use for that.
Someday, perhaps, when I'm rich.
They all share the same history. And the origins. They are the same race. Yeah, they are the same race. They're simply just different colors. Now the reason why I bring this up. Yes, racism is a problem. It needs to be fixed. But main thing is, it's not racism. Because we're all human.
Are you strong enough to survive?
We just have different colored skin. And the color of the skin shouldn't matter at all. On the inside, we're all the same color. Inside. All the same.
chapter.
It's just too easy to just completely botch terminology on things. I'm not even sure how it started. Whoever, like, that people of different colors or different races was not very swift, in my opinion. Why the word's been kept as such, I don't know.
I enjoyed that.
I find the terminology more offensive than I should, honestly. Mostly just irritating. But yeah. Being biased against different colors is just bad behavior. Should not be encouraged. Should be discouraged at all costs. Because no color is superior to the other. That's right. No one's superior. They're all the same. They have different cultures. Different cultures of color. Yeah. That's a better way to put it. I think, anyways. Like I said, common sense theory. I mean, I'm trying to think of good words without using inappropriate language. That's the tricky thing. And there's one small thing that happens quite often that is simply perplexing. One color calls another color a derogatory remark. Okay, and they get berated for it, as they should. Yeah. But when that very same color calls another person of their same color that same remark, but it's okay to do so, that's not right. That's just perpetuating and harboring the same negative impact of that word. It keeps reminding you of the pain that caused. To me, it just doesn't add up. If it's improper for others to use the word, you shouldn't use it yourself as though it isn't improper. That's common sense.
I'm returning to town.
I think I completely lost my train of thought there.
Well done, champion.
Kind of straight off a topic there for a moment. A moment, he says. What he doesn't realize. Mwahahaha. No, wrong way. Ah, no, that was the right way. Oh, wow. I really got myself messed up now. Okay. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm going to try and wrap this up now. So, when everybody comes together, puts aside their differences, and starts sharing their cultures with everybody else, mixing together, that's where true peace can be found. It's not every man for themselves. It's not every color for themselves. Every one needs to come together. Make peace. Find peace. Share the horizon and a meal. And you never know what could come. Corny man! I am the corny Gimpy! Okay. And now, at the tail of the subject, we have story time. Story time. Story time. Story time. I'm weird. I understand this. I admit this. I can fully get on that boat. Today's story is going to be not really a story, because story time's not really story, but kind of pointing towards subjects of interest. Now, all cultures have folklore. And there's stories throughout the ages with many things that try to help and teach common sense and things to avoid doing and the dangers of other bad areas. I'm going to be talking about some aspects of the Odyssey, Homer's Iliad. Now, we have Odysseus, which, for one, I'd like to point out that everyone keeps referring to it as the Odyssey. And the protagonist is Odysseus. Now, if you stop and think, and you look at the name and the word, to me, I think that the Odyssey kinda reflects on Odysseus's name. But that's me. But I digress. So we have Odysseus. He is loyal to his king. Despite the fact that his king is a prideful madman with some very deep-seated issues. So, Agamemnon marries a girl named Helena. Helena runs away with a guy from Troy, even though she's married to Agamemnon. So Agamemnon decides to go to war with Troy because of this fact. And since Odysseus is loyal to his king, Agamemnon, even though Odysseus is the king of Ithaca. Okay. Now this is kind of how it breaks down. Odysseus is similar to, like, we'll go ahead and use today's basic terminology of it. Well, similarity. A politician. And Agamemnon is the president. Wait. Okay. I kinda goofed up there. Agamemnon is the president. Odysseus is a general. That's kinda how it breaks down. He's a solid rock general with his own country. But he serves Agamemnon. Now this war goes on for years, etc. Until Odysseus comes up with a good idea, because apparently Aggie wasn't very good at thinking things through, or thinking in general. He was good at hitting things, and swinging a sword, and yelling, and talking loudly. comes up with a solid idea of sneaking in to open the gate so they can wrap the war up. All that plays through, and then Odysseus gets to go home. Unfortunately, he ends up cursed, ends up stuck roaming the waters. Now, the issue here, where he gets cursed and is stuck roaming the waters, he gets punished. Now, maybe some would think, well, why is he getting punished? He didn't do anything wrong. He served his king and he got it done. Well, he didn't do right by the Trojan people. And then the response is, well, they were his enemies. That doesn't necessarily justify it. But you just have to stop and think. Think before you shoot. Observe, collect information, find the truth. Common sense. In theory. Anyway. And Odysseus faces many challenges. So, we had pride. We're going off of, like, carnal sins here. Pride was Agamemnon's war with Troy. It was a war about pride. And a mixture of envy. Because his wife left him for another man. Now, one of Odysseus' trials is dealing with an island of sirens. And their voices will drive a man to, like, destroy himself, essentially. But yet, they'll also, at the same time, tell him what he needs to know. So it's a really messed up situation. So Odysseus has his men plug their ears with wax and tie him to the mast of the ship so he can hear the song, so he can find out how to get home. Because they've been stuck out on the waters and they're out of food and almost out of fresh water to drink. So he listens to their song, finds out how he can get home, but he also goes mad, gets unbound, and dives into the sea off the ship. Which, he could have died. But he got lucky and wound up on an island. although not so lucky at the same time. This is the island where the issue with lust comes along. Apparently beautiful women, like, just all over, and one especially just instantly in love with him. Calypso. In the story, I got it. And there's this lotus flower. Beneath the petals, they forget about their old lives. So they get stuck there for a while. Eventually, they break free because of Odysseus's love for his wife, who he's trying to get home to, and the son he hasn't seen because she was pregnant when he left to go to the war. And the war lasted over 10 years. But yeah. But still is the fact he was unfaithful to his wife with Calypso. Thanks to him thinking he could handle dealing with the sirens as long as he was tied up. His pride led him straight into lust. Eventually he snaps out of it, but there's damage there. Because while he was entrapped, his wife was shown a vision of the situation. Which, you know, in today's age, she'd be done with him in a heartbeat. But this is a story of fantasy. And it's true love. So she forgives him. Lucky for him, right? Now, make their way out of that. And they go down and come into a area where there's food for them to eat that they find, although it's in a large encampment that probably belongs to somebody else, but his men are thinking, well, they won't mind, blah 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 blah. Gluttony, greed. Turns out it's a Cyclops. People die. They get away. Because they didn't stop and look at their surroundings. They were too hungry. They let that override their ability to see the situation that they were in. And some of them ended up not being able to continue on home because of that. Now, skipping ahead a lot, finally, Odysseus gets back home, meets his son, but there's a bunch of guys that are trying to take over his position as king because they claim he's dead. So there's these tests that his wife has set up for the suitors. Whoever can complete said test will become her new husband. Now the funny thing is, she rigged the tests, making sure it was something that only Odysseus would be able to do. After Odysseus learns from his son all the things he did, there's an issue with wrath. But this isn't a punitive area in the story, because this type of action wasn't frowned upon. Goes in, completes the task. They don't believe it. He reveals himself to be Odysseus and the king. And then him and his son continue on to slaughter every single one of them. And yeah. Pretty weird. Pretty twisted. But that is the Iliad, the Odyssey. A great journey of a man trying to get home to the woman he loves and the son he could not see born because of a prideful king. A prideful and jealous king. Now, there's a lot of similar stories in folklore, etc. And a vast majority of them have some form of moral to the story. In part to try and instill a form of common sense and teachings of things to be warned of or things to be adored. And you can find stories in every culture around. And the key is trying to figure out those morals that they're trying to instill. Because that's what they're there for. That's why they were created. Oh yeah. Welcome to the first running of Gimpy's common sense theory. I do apologize for the slow start and the to's and fro's of my mind. I believe I'll attempt to set up a more constructed form for my next session. And I hope to see some people there. Maybe get some interactions. Until then, you all have a good time. And hopefully I made you think a little bit. That's all I'm looking for. Ta-ta for now.